Well, with the playing of that familiar theme song, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to go out to Los Angeles, California, or as they just call it Hollywood if you're under that big sign, and talk to Michael Snyder and find out about all the new movies. Hello, Michael.
Hi, Alex, and hi, listeners. It's been a couple of weeks, but we're back on the beam. By the way, last week, really disappointed with Tim Burton's live-action remake of the Disney cartoon classic Dumbo. Kind of a drag, despite a good cast and good visuals and a lovable CGI baby elephant. But the drama Diane was really cool. Mary Kay Place gives what may be her best performance in a career of good ones as a sad, aging, well-meaning woman in small-town New England whose life is falling apart. That's all we need to say about those movies. Let's get to what's new. Leading off with Shazam, which is a blithely, blustery, blockbustery movie about an unlikely superhero. It's kind of a load of fun and adds some new characters and color to DC Comics' multi-movie attempt to compete with Marvel Comics' big cinematic superhero universe. And the blend of kind of mega-powered action and good-natured humor with a sweet message about the importance and nature of family was really appealing in Shazam. And if you get a kick out of fantasy wish fulfillment stuff like Big, this is right up your alley. It's, by the way, just for people who don't know, Shazam is based on a comic book from the 40s that ran for quite a while from a publication called Fawcett, and the character got involved in a lot of interesting legal conflicts because his name at the time was Captain Marvel, and you know where that eventually led with Marvel having their own Captain Marvel in the 60s, and so DC said, we're going to call our guy Shazam, and it's basically a street urchin named Billy Batson, played here by Asher Angel, who becomes the full-grown adult equivalent to a superhero like Superman whenever he says a magic word, Shazam. And this in the movie is done at the behest of a wizard played by Jimon Honsu, and the result is this champion that this wizard wants to battle the evils of the world. But the trip is Billy's a boy in a man's body, like the kid in Big. Only Billy can fly. He's indestructible, super strong, wears a big red suit, and there are kind of updates and tweaks to the original origin story, but this is basically the same as it's been since the 40s. The guy who plays Billy in adult mode is Zachary Levi, and he's really good. Billy's kind of lovable, self-aggrandizing, and thoroughly goofy. And he has to face off against the villain played by Mark Strong, Dr. Savannah, who wants all of Billy's power to rule the world. And it takes Billy's foster family to really help him find his place in the universe. In fact, his foster brother, Freddie, is the guy that helps the adult-sized Billy learn about and cope with his powers. Very, very funny sequences. There's a crew of CGI monsters that I didn't like particularly, and I think young kids might be freaked out. But ultimately, I really enjoyed Shazam, a whole bunch of fun. On a more serious note, The Best of Enemies. This is a boilerplate inspirational drama about the 1971 school integration battle in Durham, North Carolina, with very good performances by Sam Rockwell as C.P. Ellis, a KKK Cyclops, I guess that was the designation at that level, who apparently actually had a heart, and Taraji P. Henson as a feisty Big Mama type activist named Ann Atwater, and she's in an obvious fat suit, so that was a little distracting. And they're both sides of the conflict. They're leaders of their respective communities who come together to face off in a civic debate that's supposed to end with a vote to decide that the path that the town will take is either going to grant equal educational opportunities to black students or not. And so the movie tries to show that there are, as the Trumpty Dumpty trumpeted, good people on both sides. And I'm not convinced of that, but there's a certain pleasure derived by knowing the real life counterparts of the two characters found common ground and really became lifelong friends and ambassadors for harmony between the races. Written and directed by Robin Bissell. Means well, but, again, kind of formula stuff. I was really looking forward to the latest film by French filmmaker Claire Denis, the woman who brought us Chocolat and other fine films. She's trying her hand at science fiction with High Life, and it stars Robert Pattinson, from Twilight, and one of Denis' favorite actresses, Juliette Binoche, who actually was in Chocolat. In High Life, a spaceship has hurtled out of our solar system, I think, since it eventually reaches this weird spatial abnormality, quite a distance from Earth. The ship has prisoners, some dangerous, some maybe not, along with a pilot and a doctor of human genetics, or maybe she's just a gynecologist. She's played by Binoche. Anyway, this appears to be an experiment in outer space procreation, but as intriguing as the premises is, the movie is frequently convoluted and kind of overheated and not in a good way. In other words, things go wrong with the experiment. I think Denis wanted to get a little Stanley Kubrick here, as in the last third of 2001: A Space Odyssey, but this just didn't cut it for me. You know how in science fiction movies they put people into suspended animation for long space flights? I felt like I was one of those people in deep freeze as I watched High Life. Your interstellar mileage may vary. And finally, Peterloo is an historical drama, and as those go, UK writer-director Mike Leigh of Life is Sweet and Topsy Turvy fame has definitely made one. Peterloo is a recreation of the Peterloo Massacre of 1819, where government cavalry and local police in the UK were in the pockets of the wealthy area businessmen and politicians, and so they attacked the crowd of 80,000 peaceful protesters who were seeking democratic reform in the industrial town of Manchester, England. There are moments in the first half of this film that get wrapped up in the politics of the class struggle at the heart of the conflict, as well as depicting the poverty and poor working conditions of many locals, and it drags. But the story becomes more and more compelling and disturbing as it marches to a very powerful, disheartening, and near-epic climax. I guess the only recognizable actors here are probably best known for their work on some great British TV shows. They include Rory Kinnear from Penny Dreadful, where he was Frankenstein's monster. Here he plays a leader of the people. Maxine Peake from Criminal Justice, and even Tim McInerney from Game of Thrones and Blackadder. By the hellish conclusion of this movie, you're going to be educated about a real serious tragedy, but probably drained, shattered, or both. That's what we got here in terms of Peterloo. What are you watching? What are you doing?
I'm not watching anything. The only thing is we wasted, I got to tell you this. We went to the movie the other day, and it was a comfy chair theater, and the movie was in 3D, and we're two seniors. How much do you think that cost?
$25.
Oh, really? What movie theaters? Oh, well, you don't go to you don't pay to get into movie theaters anymore, so you don't know.
Don't ride me for that.
Try $49.
What?
Yes.
For senior tickets?
Yes.
Wow.
And then there was the cab. So the cab there and back came to almost let's say another $30, and then there's the popcorn and everything else. Almost $100 to go see a movie.
Wow.
Okay?
It's...
well, wait a minute. Now, let me tell you this. Then we went to see the movie on the recommendation of a lot of people, I think even including you, and it was terrible. It was just a total waste of money, and it was Captain Marvel.
Really?
I thought it sucked. It was so boring, and it was horrible. And
I enjoyed it, but I didn't think it was one of their better films.
Well, you didn't have to spend $100 to see it.
Granted.
So let that be a lesson to you. That's why all reviewers should have to pay to get in to see a movie, because
considering what we earn as reviewers, we'd have no money left. Apparently,
but what happens is that you review a movie based upon your experience and your comfort, and if you were sitting there and you wound up paying $100 to review Captain Marvel, you'd look at it differently. You really would. You look at it as an economic expenditure, okay?
As $100 go, I don't know that any film is worth $100.
Well, that's why we're not going to movies anymore. We're probably going to cut. We haven't been to a movie in 2 or 3 months for that reason. You know, there's been nothing out there we really wanted to see. So I figured, let's get out. You know, let's go see a movie. It was terrible. It was just terrible.
Well, by no means should you ever spend the money to see High Life, despite a lot of favorable reviews, as opposed to my own negative one. But there you have it. Hopefully we'll have something better on tap next week. You can check me out on Twitter at Culture Blaster and on Facebook at Michael Snyder's Culture Blast page.
And if people are so inclined, if they're listening to us 24/7, there's more GABNet coming up right now.